It's a matchup between the Luray Bulldogs and the Stonewall Jackson Generals. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kyle Gutschall. Glad to be with you here tonight for part 3 of our game of the week. Tonight, the Generals host the Bulldogs in girls high school basketball action. Luray enters at 4-0, and Stonewall Jackson is 5-3. Welcome back to high school basketball action as we're underway from Quicksburg. Luray and Stonewall Jackson. Luray gets the ball to begin the game, and they miss their first shot, and Stonewall has the basketball. 20 seconds into action. They take a quick three-pointer, and it's no good, and rebounded Luray. This Luray team, as I said earlier, a state runner-up from last year, they are going to get points on the board quickly, driving in all the way down the floor. As Emily Weekly, she misses the shot, but she's fouled, and she'll go to the line for 2. Weekly to the line, 5'11" junior. Free throw is good. Foul was on Stonewall's number 3, Kyleen Franklin, and she was in foul trouble the other night we were here. Second free throw is all net. 2 of 2 for Emily Weekly. And Luray is on the board first, 2-0. 7:20 to go here in the first quarter of play. Luray in a zone defense, trying to shut down this Stonewall team that's had a pretty solid season so far. Outside with it, it's Dellinger. Council in the corner. She's going to drive in, pick up her dribble. Franklin, a contested 3, no good. Ball tipped around off the hands of Luray and out of bounds. Stonewall will hold on to it. 7:01 to go. About a minute into play here tonight. Generals inbounding, and they get it into Dellinger, and she loses the handle, but Council's right there to pick it up for the Generals. She gets it down low to Franklin, and there's a foul on the floor. And that will be the first team foul on Luray here in the first quarter. That's going to be on number 4, Avery Alger. Her first, team first. So again, the Generals will inbound. Getting it in, Kyleen Franklin in the corner. Driving to the basket, layup's no good. And Annika Dellinger pulls the rebound away from Luray, and then there's a foul on the floor. And is that going to be on Kyleen Franklin again? It is. And that's her second. Only a minute and 13 seconds into the game, and she had to sit a lot of the other night's ball game against Page County because of, against Strasburg because of foul trouble. So she's going to have to be careful out there with the 2 fouls early on. Luray basketball, 6:30 to go in the first quarter of play. Here's a deep 3, no good by Emily Weekly, but Luray gets the rebound. It's Breland Burrow with it. Driving in. Here's Weekly again. Pump fake 3. She's going to drive all the way to the basket, and she finished the layup. Emily Weekly with 4 early points. Pacing the Luray team. It's 4-0. Stonewall basketball down the floor. Driving in. Down low, it's Franklin. Franklin going to kick it out to Council. Council for 3. It's short, no good. Annika Dellinger for Stonewall has the rebound ripped away. And it's picked up by Luray. Luray going to push down the floor, as they always do. Fast momentum team. Kicking it out. Into the corner. It's Burrell. Burrell loses the handle. It's out of bounds and off of Stonewall's Maya Council. Substitution, and Kyleen Franklin going to have to take a seat. Just a minute and 19 seconds into the game with her 2 early fouls. Subbing for her, 5'8" senior forward Morgan Gibson. 4-0 Luray. Stonewall playing defense. Spin move, driving in. Off balance layup, no good. And Luray gets the rebound, but then they step out of bounds. Stonewall basketball, bringing it down the floor. It's not Kyleen Franklin, it's Bree Franklin. Bree Franklin is a 5'6" sophomore guard, averaging 5 points a game. Into the corner, it's Annika Dellinger being double-teamed. She has to get it off, and she turns it over. Stolen away. Easy lane to the basket. Layup's good on the left side by Lexi Vile, and Luray is up 6-0 early. 5:05 to go in the first quarter of play. The Generals really need to try to get something here on this drive because Luray, a team that is very dominant, can go ahead and not give it up. It's turned over again. Luray steals it away from the Generals. Spin move to the basket. It's Burrell. Burrell has to kick it back out to Lexi Vile, and Luray's going to set up their offense, leading 6-0. Up top with it, it's Vile. Vile going to pass it off to Alger. Alger loses it back to the top. It's a three-point look for Weekly, no good, and Morgan Gibson for the Generals pulls down the rebound. Stonewall still looking for their first points of the night here from Stonewall Jackson High School in Quicksburg. Into the corner. Again, Luray just playing with this double team, and they get another steal. Luray the other way, an easy lane, and the layup is good again. It's Burrell with the layup, and just like that, Luray leads 8-0. It's a 30-second timeout. We'll keep it right here. So an early 8 for Luray, Weekly with 4, Burrell with 2, and Vile with 2. And the big story for Stonewall early on here in this one is Kylene Franklin with 2 early fouls, having to take an exit, and probably won't see her again until towards the end of the first quarter, if not the second. So for Stonewall, a team that is 5-3 and coming off a loss the other night to Page, they need to stay in this one early, because this Luray team, 29-2 last year, 4-0 this year, and as I mentioned in the open, a very, very similar squad to what they had last year, minus 1 or 2 players. So this is a team that has the ability to win the state championship. So Stonewall, a team that is playing good basketball this year, really needs to stay in their own and try to keep this one close early. But right now, Luray is trying to put it away early, but the Generals will have a chance here out of the 30-second timeout, and they'll bring it down the floor. Maya Council at the point guard position. Council averaging 12 points and 6 rebounds a game. She's going to pull the three. It's in and out, no good. And here's an offensive rebound, but the putback's no good for Stonewall. Stonewall fighting for the offensive rebound, and they will tie it up. It will stay with Stonewall. Couple of good looks on that possession for the Generals, just couldn't finish. Council into Dellinger into the corner. Outside, it's Franklin. Franklin going to dribble, but again, that double team is really working for Luray. Into the corner, it's Morgan Gibson. Gibson down low to Dellinger, and it's a foul on the floor. That'll be foul number 2, team-wise on Luray. 3:41 to go in the first quarter. 8-0 Luray on top of Stonewall. That foul was on Emily Donovan, her first for Luray. Council inbounding into the corner, wide open. Gibson for 3, and it's all air. Council with the rebound. She goes up strong, and she's fouled, and she will go to the line for 2. Joe Lucas, head coach for Luray, not happy there as the air ball was received by Council, and she went up strong with it, drew the foul, and she'll get a chance at the line for 2. First free throw's too strong for Council. Stonewall still looking for their first points of the game. 3:37 to go here in this first quarter, down 8-0. Council's second from the line is all net. So Stonewall's on the board. And Luray will push the other way, trying to get those points back. 3:30 to go, first quarter of play. Stonewall in a man-to-man defense, driving in, layup's good, and that was Emily Weekly getting right to the basket. She has 6 early points, and it's 10-1 Luray. Stonewall trying to do something on offense. Great backdoor cut by Annika Dellinger, and she puts it up. She snuck in behind the Luray defense and made the layup. It's 10-3. Luray the other way. Here's a contested shot, no good. And Luray is continuing to win the battle on the boards. They get the rebound. Their putback is no good. And Stonewall's Morgan Gibson pulls down the rebound. Pushing it the other way is Franklin. And she turns it over. Stolen away by Luray. Coming the other way, it's Jaden McClung. McClung going to pull up from the free throw line, and she banks the shot in. McClung makes the jumper from the charity stripe. It's 12-3, and Stonewall is still continuing to use that fast pace, and Luray is having their way so far. Outside with it, it's Council being defended by Weekly. Into the corner, Gibson. She's doubled, but she gets out of it and passes it to Dellinger. Dellinger going to drive in with her left hand, loses it, nearly turns it over. Here's a jumper from a couple feet away, and knocking it down is Stonewall's Eli Dellinger, second field goal of the night for the Generals, and they're down 12-5. Luray trying to get those back. Here's Weekly for three off the front of the rim. Not a very good shot there. Rushed it a little bit, and Stonewall clears the rebound. Trying to get a little momentum here early on. Trailing 12-5. Council, a deep contested three, and she knocks it down. Maya Council with the three-point basket. She has 4 points, and it's down to a 4-point deficit for the Generals. Into the corner, driving in, it's Lexi Vile baseline. She goes up for the layup. No good. It's tipped around, and Annika Dellinger picks it up for Stonewall. She's in trouble. She dribbles out, double team, and they beat it. Back across half court, it's Maya Council. Council into the corner, Dellinger, and it's out of bounds. Jeff Berner is really mad at one of the officials right now. Some frustration, and officials are telling him to get back to the sideline. One of the assistants going to try to calm him down for the time being. Luray basketball, 12-8 the score, 1:10 to go here in the first quarter of play. Dale Locks in the game for the Generals. She had a really good performance off the bench the other night against Strasburg as she put up 10 points. Missed shot by Luray. Here comes Stonewall the other way. Franklin goes up for the shot. It's no good. Tipped away. And Stonewall gets the basketball back, and they're going to set up the offense. 45 seconds to go here in the first quarter of play. Driving all the way to the basket. Floater no good by Dellinger, and it's rebounded by Luray. They're going to come the other way. It's Weekly driving on Gibson. A tough shot. No good. Way too strong there. She wanted the foul but didn't get it. 30 seconds to go in the first. Down low, and Gibson turns it over. It's back to Luray. A fast-paced game so far. Weekly the other way for Luray. Layups up and good. She has 8 first-quarter points, matching Stonewall as a team. And we're down to 10 seconds to go in the first quarter of play. Outside, it's Franklin. And Bree Franklin is bumped and fouled, and that will be the 4th team foul for Luray. Down to 7.8 to go here in the first quarter of play. Again, with the COVID restrictions, a very small crowd here tonight in Quicksburg. Stonewall inbounding. 7.8 to go in the first. Trying to get it in, taking a little bit of time. They finally do. Down to 5 in the first. Into the corner. Here's a long three. No good. It's an air ball. Rebounded by Luray, and Weekly. Football throws it down the court. It's no good. And that'll do it for the first quarter of play. Luray 14, Stonewall 8. We're back after this here on the high school basketball game of the week here on Valley Sports Radio. 14-8, Luray on top. Back to Quicksburg. Kyle Gutschall with you here at Play-by-Play tonight here on Valley Sports Radio as we're about to begin the second quarter of play. Luray in Stonewall. And Luray has the basketball beginning the second quarter of play. And they're going to take a quick three from the corner. Way off, no good by Brenlin Burrow. And it's rebounded by the Generals. Kylie Franklin back in the game for the Generals. And she misses a layup, but Stonewall gets their own rebound. Into the corner, it's Council. Council going to pass it to Annika. Annika Dellinger back into the corner. Here's Council, another three. It's no good, but again, Stonewall gets their own rebound. Here's Franklin driving in. She's going to put it up. It's no good. And tipped off of Luray. It will stay with the Generals. Again, Kylie Franklin, the top player for this Generals team this year, and she has 2 early fouls. She's got to be careful as she's back in there beginning the second quarter. Franklin has it in the corner. Skip pass. Here's a short corner shot. Short, no good, and rebounded by Luray. Weekly pushing it the other way as she always does. Gets all the way to the basket, and she misses the layup. Stonewall catches a break there. They're going to push the other way. It's Kylie Franklin. She gets bumped, and they're going to get a foul on Luray. That'll be the 5th team foul for this Luray Bulldog squad. Generals going for the inbound, and they just get it in time. Oh, and the pass is thrown out of bounds. Eli Dellinger passed it to Kylie Franklin, except a couple of feet away from her, as Franklin was still standing there, and Dellinger looked up, and it was too late. It was already past her. So another turnover here for Stonewall Jackson. Let's see if Luray can take advantage. Driving into the corner now. It's Olivia Good. Good passes it off to Lexi Vile. Vile back to Weekly. Weekly, a spin move, pass into the corner. Here's Olivia Good, kicks it back out. Here's Weekly, a contested three. Great defense for Eli Dellinger, but Weekly knocked it down regardless. And Emily Weekly has 11 early points here as we're just at the beginning of the second quarter of play. It's a 30-second timeout by Luray, so we'll keep it right here. So the story so far, the Emily Weekly show, 11 of the 17 for Luray. She's outscoring Stonewall's team on her own, and she's the one that the Generals really need to focus on and try to slow down. 14-8 after one, and Luray had a solid advantage in the first quarter, but Stonewall did a good job of tightening it up a little bit. But here in this second quarter, they're still scoreless. While Luray just scored their first basket here of the second quarter. Again, tonight's game, you're listening to the Kern Motor Company Game of the Week. Our other great sponsors, Thomas Family Dentistry, Frogs Garage, and Wholesome Foods. Out of the 30-second break, Stonewall will have the basketball. Gonna have to go down the court, full length of the court. And we're back to action. Stonewall wearing their white home unis, the red and blue stripe down the side. Driving all the way to the basket is Franklin, and she turns it over. Was going for Bree Franklin, and Kylene didn't make a very good pass. Luray going to push the other way. Driving in, nearly turned over. Picking it up is Jaden McClung, and driving in's Weekly, and Weekly runs into her own teammate. Nearly a jump ball, but they don't call it. Play still alive. Driving all the way to the basket. Layup's no good. And Stonewall will come the other way. Luray wearing their black uniforms with the maroon and the white stripe down the sides. Ball's out of bounds. It will stay with the Generals. 5:51 to go in the second quarter of play. A couple of substitutions. Mackenzie Richards is in the game. McClung will take a seat. Vile will take a seat. Stonewall gets the basketball in. Emily Donovan once again back in there for Luray. And another turnover for the Generals. Stonewall, a lot of self-inflicted errors right now. Against a team like Luray, you really can't afford to make these mistakes because they will take advantage, and already trailing 17-8, they need to keep it close here. Both of these teams are playing at a very high tempo, as you can probably tell. Luray thrives on that, and maybe trying to make Stonewall a little uncomfortable with the pace of play. Weekly going to go all the way to the basket. Way too easy, but she missed the layup. The ball's loose, and Stonewall picked the ball up, but they were stepping out of bounds apparently, and that's going to stay with Luray. Weekly's just getting to the basket way too easily, and thankfully for Stonewall, she's missing some of these layups. On the inbounds, Weekly has it, trying to drive past Dellinger, kicks it off. Here's a three attempt, no good. It's an air ball. Burrow missed it all, and Stonewall with another turnover. Kylene Franklin turns it over. Jeff Berner asks her what's going on, and then he calls a full timeout. We'll take it as well. Luray leads 17-8. We're back after this on Valley Sports Radio. Luray 17, Stonewall 8. 5:13 to go in the second quarter of play. Stonewall just called a full timeout after another turnover. The Bulldogs going to try to take advantage here as they go the length of the court. Burrow bringing it down the floor for this Luray squad. Screen up top. Weekly has to pick up her dribble into the corner. Driving all the way to the basket. Looked like some contact. They didn't call it. And again, some contact. And again, they didn't call it. And Stonewall catches a break as the Bulldogs missed a couple of shots on that possession. So Stonewall still at 8 points, trying to add on that here. Luray playing some really good defense as Dellinger's stuck in the corner, has to throw it away. And once again, the theme continues for this Generals team. Another turnover. And Luray gets the basketball back. Again, Stonewall coming off of a loss a couple nights ago, 46-38 to Page County, while Luray beat Page County last night, 72-61. The Stonewall team is looking to put up some points here tonight as Luray gets all the way to the basket and Burrell puts it in. (19-8), Luray on top. Kylie Franklin passes it to Bree Franklin. Bree Franklin's shot is no good, and Weekly is going to push it the other way. Council tries to get back. She goes all the way to the basket. And Maya Council is going to be called for the foul. You really couldn't do anything there. Weekly got the rebound and took it all the way down the floor. First free throw is good. Emily Weekly up to 12 points. She averaged, I believe, about 25 last year. Second free throw is no good, rebounded by Dale Locks. 20-8 the score. Stonewall trailing by 12. 4 minutes to go in the second quarter, and the defense has been stout for Luray, and the turnovers have been frequent for the Generals. Speaking of that, there's another turnover. The Generals just hurting themselves on offense, not even getting a lot of shots up. The mistakes just continue to happen because some bad passes and miscommunication. The Generals have gotten to tighten that up. You got to get some shots up to have a chance to win the ball game. Luray, for one of the first times, just going to walk it down the floor. Weekly has it. She's going to drive on Gibson, kicks it out to the corner. Donovan drive into the basket, and she stepped out of bounds. A turnover for Luray. 3:37 to go, second quarter of play. Here in our third high school basketball game of the week. We've had a lot of action, and another turnover for the Generals. Went right through the hands of Morgan Gibson down on the baseline. It was a good pass by Franklin. Maybe a little bit high, but definitely catchable. Let's see if Luray makes them pay for the turnover here on this possession. Into the corner. Good look on the three. It's short, no good, and rebounded by Council. Luray not shooting well from three, and that's keeping Stonewall in the game, at least for now. Here's Bree Franklin for three off the front of the rim, and no good. Rebounded by Weekly. Weekly going to push it, as she always does, all the way down the floor, and they're going to get a jump ball. Good job by Morgan Gibson for the Generals, getting her hands on the basketball, and that will give it back to Stonewall. Looking at the scoring right now, Stonewall's being led Maya Council with 4, and then Eli Dellinger and Annika Dellinger both with 2 points. Stonewall has not scored in this second quarter yet, and they really haven't put many shots up. Council going to drive all the way to the basket. She has to scoop it up as she was a little bit short, and it's no good. Rebounded by Luray. Again, they're going to push it, trying to add on their lead into the lane. Kicks it out to Weekly. She takes the three. It's off on the side of the rim. No good, but a rebound attempt and put back is no good for Luray, and they will keep it alive once again. Great effort by Luray, fighting for that rebound and keeping it in play as they're going to pull it out near the emblem and set up their offense with 2:20 to go in the second quarter of play. Screen on the outside, driving in, little pick and pop, going up for it, and looked like a travel, but they're going to call a foul on Stonewall. They're going to get that on Stonewall's number 44, Dale Locks. Locks' first foul, fourth team foul for the Generals. 2:11 to go, second quarter of play. First free throw is short off the front of the rim by Jaden McClung. Couple of substitutions for the Generals. Locks and Gibson will take a seat. And the Dellingers are back in, Annika and Eli. Second one from the line for McClung. Again, no good off the front of the rim, and Council gathers the rebound for the Generals. They're going to push it. Franklin goes in on 2 defenders. She misses the layup, and it's rebounded by Luray. Stonewall is just having trouble scoring at this point. Looked like a palm there by Burrell, but they didn't call it. Here's a 3 attempt, no good for Luray, and Council gets the rebound. They reach in on her, and they don't call a foul, but instead it goes off of Luray. That's just hard to believe. Looked like a lot of contact there. Maya Council got the rebound, and then she got mauled by 2 defenders, but no call. But the Generals get it back, nevertheless, because of it going out of bounds off Luray. Franklin turns it over. Weekly steals it away. She dribbles past everyone, goes up, and layup is good. Franklin had to make sure she didn't foul there because that would have been number 3. Emily Weekly with 14. It's 22-8. Generals are scoreless here in the second quarter. Into the corner, it's Council. Maya going to take a 3. Second 3 of the night. Good from deep range. She has 7. 7 of the 11 for the Generals, keeping Stonewall in this game for the time being. We're down to 1:05 to go in the second quarter. Here's a 3 to match Stonewall's. It's no good, but the putback is good by Weekly as she was right there for the rebound. Stonewall did not do a good job of boxing out. We're down to 1 minute to go in the second quarter. Stonewall down 24-11. Bree Franklin on the baseline, going to pass it off. Here's a great shot. Layup good by Eli Dellinger. Good pass from Bree Franklin. Dellinger has 4. It's 24-13. 37 seconds to go in the second. Emily Weekly outscoring Stonewall on her own. She's going to try to add on it here as she goes up for the layup. It's no good, and Stonewall gets the rebound. 25 seconds to go in the second quarter. Bree Franklin going to bring it down for the Generals. Trying to find Council. Council's been shooting a good ball tonight. She's going to go all the way to the basket. She goes up for the layup. It's no good off the bottom of the rim. She's slow getting up. And we have a stoppage in play. The referee wanted to stop and make sure Council was okay. And we have a sub. It's not for Council, though. It's for Franklin. So Council's going to stay in there after. It looked like she got banged up on the shot attempt. 12 seconds left in the second quarter of play. Luray leading 24-13, and Weekly has the basketball into the corner. Here's a wide open 3. It's no good for Luray, rebounded by Dellinger, and that will do it for the second quarter of play. So Stonewall only scoring a total of 5 points in the second quarter, while Luray put up 10. At the half, Luray leading 24-13 in girls high school basketball action. We'll be back to recap the first half and more on Valley Sports Radio. 24-13, Luray on top of Stonewall Jackson. Kyle Gutschall with you here on Valley Sports Radio, about to begin the third quarter of play. Some stats from Brad Falber of the NV Daily. Luray shot just 29% from the field in the first half, 1 of 14 from 3. And for the Generals, 20% from the field. But outperforming Luray on the rebounding side of things. So if Stonewall wants to win this game, they're going to have to shoot higher than 20% in the second half. And Luray did not shoot the 3 ball well in the first. We'll see if they can bounce back here in the second half. Driving in on the first possession of the second half is Emily Weekly, picking up where she left off. She has 18 points, and the lead is up to 13 for the Bulldogs. Kylene Franklin into the corner to Bree Franklin. Bree Franklin with a good look, but it's short, no good. Rebounded by Luray. They're going to come the other way quickly. Weekly back outside. Here's a wide open 3. Way too strong on that 3 was Burrell, and it's rebounded by the Generals. Pushing it down, it's Dellinger. Eli passes it to Bree Franklin into the corner. Eli, she's going to take the 3. It's way long. It's an air ball, and it's rebounded out of bounds. So it will go to Luray. Not even a minute into the second half of play yet here in this ball game. And as I mentioned during halftime, Stonewall just can't beat themselves here. Luray into the corner. Driving in, it's Vile. Vile, no good. She gets her own rebound, and she puts it in. A lapse in focus there for the Generals. Just couldn't follow their own rebound, and Luray took it and put up the points. 28-13, Bulldogs on top. Bree Franklin going to drive in. few defenders in her way. She puts it up off the glass, no good. And it's rebounded by Weekly and Lorray. Weekly going all the way to the basket. She pulls up on the jump stop. It's no good. And Lorray pulls the rebound. Stonewall pulls the rebound, and Lorray commits a foul. First foul of the second half of play. It's number 2 on Burrell. Kylene Franklin still looking for her first points of the night. Passes it to Bree Franklin. Bree being double teamed, and she turns it over to Weekly. Weekly has no one in front of her from the left side. Layup is good. She has 20. It's a timeout. Stonewall lead is up to 17 for the Bulldogs. It's a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here as Lorray has put up 6 unanswered to begin this third quarter of play. And they are flexing their muscles, showing why they are a dominant squad, as they showed last year, making it to the state championship, finishing as the runner-up. And Stonewall just showing that they need to really just quit committing the self-inflicted issues that they have been doing all night long. Because this Stonewall team, they have a lot of ability. They have some really nice pieces with Franklin and Council and Eli Dellinger and Bree Franklin and Annika Dellinger. And then we saw the other night Dale Locks off the bench. She was able to put in 10 points and 6 rebounds. So they have some nice pieces, and they're going to lose a couple of seniors this year. Actually, 4. Franklin, Dellinger, Gibson, and Locks. So they're going to lose some playmakers, but we'll see what they can do moving forward. First possession out of the timeout, and it's a tie-up jump ball, and it will stay with the Generals with 5:58 to go in the third quarter of play. Our next game here on Valley Sports Radio will be on Wednesday from Strasburg in girls action, as Central will visit the Strasburg Rams. And then our final game of the regular season will be next Friday, right back here in Stonewall, as the Strasburg boys will take on the Stonewall Jackson Generals at 6 o'clock. That will be our last game scheduled for the regular season before we jump into playoff action and regionals. Lorray gets the basketball back, leading 30-13. 5:40 to go, third quarter of play. Here's a tip pass inside and driving, and great effort there for Weekly. She goes up strong. Looked like she was fouled, but they didn't call it. Nevertheless, she made the shot. She has 22 points. Franklin and Stonewall trying to respond, and they do. Short jumper baseline by Annika Dellinger. She's got 4 points, and it's 32-15. Getting it down low to Weekly. Council got beat, and Weekly went right by her and finished the layup. 24 for Emily Weekly. She has been extremely impressive. Jeff Burner switching it up a little bit on the offensive side. Lorray is in a zone defense. Here's Dellinger for 3. It's good. A little bit of rhythm here for the Generals. Eli Dellinger from downtown. She has 7 points, and it's 34-18. Stonewall would like to see a stop here. Weekly has the ball in her hands again. She passes it off into the corner, driving in on the floater. Floater's good by number 14, Lexi Vile, and we have a timeout, Lorray. And that'll be a 30-second timeout. 36-18 the tally, 4:34 to go, third quarter of play. As the 4-0 Lorray Bulldogs are leading the 5-3 Stonewall Jackson Generals here in girls action. Stonewall coached by longtime head coach Jeff Burner, along with Leonard Veeney, Kim Eastep, and Mark Council. Lorray, coached by Joe Lucas. As this Lorray team is putting a pretty good performance together here tonight against the Stonewall Jackson team. Moving forward, the Stonewall girls will go to Madison on Monday and at Clark County on Wednesday. And for Lorray, They've got Page on Monday, Clark on Tuesday, Madison on Wednesday, and Rapp on Friday. So they've got a busy week coming up. Down to the baseline, it's Franklin, and Franklin misses the jump shot and rebounded by Luray. Forced it a little bit there, and just wasn't a very good look. And the ball's turned over. Kylene Franklin steals it away for the Generals, and she has to pick up her dribble because of the contact. Council, a long two on the line, no good. Annika Dellinger gets the rebound, and they're going to call a jump ball with 4:02 to go in the second quarter. Getting it in, it's Council. Inside to the corner, Dellinger. Bree Franklin back to the corner, Council for three. It's in and out, no good. Rolled around the rim and wouldn't fall. Good play design for Jeff Berner and the Generals. They just couldn't execute it. On the wing, it's Lexi Vile. Passes it down low into the post. Ball is loose and picked up by the Generals. Eli Dellinger snagged it away from Luray, and Bree Franklin has it and passes to Kylene into the corner. Council for three. It's good. Third tray of the night for Maya Council. She has 10 of the 21 for the Generals. Weekly coming back for a response. Layup's no good. She was fouled, but they didn't call it, and that was pretty obvious. They're really not calling much at all tonight. Annika Dellinger in the post, and she's going to pull it out and passes it off of Weekly's hand. It will stay with the Generals. Dale Locks and Morgan Gibson back in for the Generals. Annika Dellinger and Bree Franklin will take a seat. Weekly and McClung will take a seat for Luray. Council has it outside. Here's another three. It's no good. She got knocked to the floor. No foul called. Ball's out of bounds, and it will go to Luray. Council nearly knocking down another three, and Jeff Berner and Mark Council, assistant coach, is not happy that there was no call there. 3 minutes to go in the third. Luray 36, Stonewall 21. Screen up top by Richards. Here's a floater, no good, and rebounded by Dale Locks for the Generals. Stonewall trailing by 15 points. Kylene Franklin going to drive in, passes into the corner. Dellinger driving. Here's Locks for three. It's off the front of the rim and no good. Another empty possession for the Generals. Weekly's about to go back into the game after sitting for about 30 seconds. Screen up top by Richards. Driving and floater, no good. And ball's loose. Locks has it, and a jump ball is called. Stonewall thought it should have been a reach-in foul there. Weekly's back in along with Olivia Good for the Bulldogs. Only one foul total in the second half so far, and that was on Luray. None on Stonewall, so as I was saying, the refs are keeping their whistle in their pocket. Inbound to Richard, passes it off to Weekly. Weekly loses it, and they're going to call a foul on the floor there. So, kind of jinxed it there. There's that foul. And Luray has the basketball. Weekly being covered by Gibson outside the three-point line. Here's a screen, a long two jump shot. It's an air ball rebounded by Franklin. Stonewall going to push it. Franklin down the lane all the way to the basket. She kicks it out, and they're going to get an offensive foul there. Luray draws an offensive foul. Not sure where it was as Franklin was called for her third. She was driving in. She kicked it out to the corner, and they call an offensive foul there. Jeff Berner can't believe it for the Generals, and I can't either. I don't know where it was, but Jeff Berner not happy with it. Weekly outside with it for Luray, and she goes into a pair of Generals and loses the basketball. Council brings it down the floor. She has 10. Drives past her defender, passes it to Locks into the corner. Kylene Franklin for three, no good. Gibson gets the rebound for the Generals, and they keep the possession alive. Council wide open, long three. That's no good, and Weekly climbs the ladder and pulls the rebound for Luray. She's going to go down the floor. Pass it to Richards. Richards inside. She finishes the layup. It's good. Great pass from Weekly to Mackenzie Richards her first basket of the night, and it's a 17-point lead. Council into the corner, Locks back to Council. Council being double-teamed to Franklin. Luray still in the zone defense down to the baseline, Gibson. Gibson trying to get out of trouble. A screen up top by Franklin. Didn't call it. Council contested three off the front of the rim, no good, and Stonewall gets it back again. Driving, and it's Gibson to the corner, Locks. 50 seconds to go here in the third quarter. A long possession for the Generals. Here's Dellinger up. Bad shot into the corner as it hit the side of the backboard and rolled above the backboard. It'll be out of bounds, and it's Luray basketball. Substitution for the Generals. Bree Franklin checking back into the game. And taking a seat is Kylene Franklin. (38-21) the score. 40 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Luray and Stonewall high school basketball action. Girls action here from Quicksburg. Luray looks to be holding for the last shot here of the third quarter. Their star player, Emily Weekly, with 24 points, and she is possessing the basketball. Gibson getting up in her grill a little bit. 20 seconds to go, third quarter. Weekly passes it off to McClung, playing way outside near the volleyball line. And that's a timeout, Luray. And it's a full timeout. We'll keep it right here. Only 10 seconds to go in the third quarter of play. 38-21 the score. As Luray has put up 14 here in the second, so far in the second half. And Stonewall has put up 8. Again, both sides were really struggling from the field at the half, folks. Luray at 29%, only 1 of 14 from 3. Stonewall was only shooting 20%. Stonewall has definitely gotten that up a little bit. They've scored some points in this second half. And for Luray, they're just keeping the ball in Emily Weekly's hands. She's doing a great job driving in and finishing her shots, and that's all you can ask for. Weekly, as I mentioned earlier, she averaged about 25 points a game last year. Might be a little bit higher than that. And just looking at her previous few games, scored 29 against Strasburg on the game that we had. So, I mean, she's putting up the points. Sorry, the game that we had was back a little bit long ago. She had 21 points in that one, but ended up having 17 rebounds that night at Strasburg on one of the games that we covered previously in the season. Out of the timeout, 11 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Luray probably drew up a play to run here. Weekly has it, screen up top. She's going to drive, floater off the glass. It's in and out, no good. Luray has the rebound, and there's no whistle. Finally a whistle, and a jump ball with 2.2 seconds to go in the third. So Luray couldn't execute the play there, but Stonewall probably has no shot here with 2 seconds to go. They get it into Bree Franklin. She's going to football pass it all the way down the floor. It's no good, and that'll do it for the third quarter. Luray 38, Stonewall 21. Fourth quarter coming up next here on the high school basketball game of the week here on Valley Sports Radio. Beginning the fourth quarter of play, Kyle Gutschall here on our game of the week, filling in at play-by-play for Craig Orndorff. He'll be back on Wednesday night, as we'll be at Strasburg, Central and Strasburg girls high school basketball action, as we wind down this very shortened regular season with all the COVID going on. Football season's coming up soon. Hard to believe. And beginning the fourth quarter of play, Luray turns the basketball over. Substitutions for both sides. Avery Alger back in for Luray. So they got Alger out there along with McClung, Burrell, Weekly, and I believe Vile is out there as well. Stonewall basketball. Here's Annika Dellinger, off-balance jumper, no good. And rebounded by Avery Alger. Alger's going to pass it off to Burrell. Burrell to Weekly. Weekly driving all the way to the basket, and she's just getting there way too easily. 26 points for Emily Weekly. It's 40-21. Down low to Annika Dellinger. A short jump shot is good. She's doing a really good job being efficient tonight. Annika Dellinger was 6 of the 23 for Stonewall Jackson. Into the corner now, it's Donovan. Donovan passes into the corner on the other side. McClung drives. Body on the floor, back to Burrell. Here's a long three for Weekly. It's good. She has 29 points. And it's 43-23. Largest, if not, it was one of the largest margins here tonight here at 20. I think this is the largest. Here's Dellinger, another short jumper from the baseline. It's no good. And it's rebounded by Luray, leading by 20. Weekly passes it down to the post. McClung driving on Dellinger. Left hand off the glass. Really nice shot there for Jaden McClung. She has 4, and it's 45-23. 6:15 to go, fourth quarter of play from Quicksburg, Virginia. Stonewall basketball. Dellinger on the baseline being doubled, looking for a teammate. She has her back turned to the basket. She finally gets it off to Council. Council, another three. It's good. Fourth tray of the night for Maya Council. She has 13 of the 26 for the Generals, and it's 45-26. Weekly outside. You got to keep an eye on her. She has just been dominating. Franklin gets in there, and they tie it up. It's a jump ball. Couple of substitutions. Looks like 14 and 32. Vile and Belton. Trinity Belton in for Luray. Belton's a 5'4" junior guard. Kylene Franklin still surprisingly scoreless for the Generals. She gets a screen up top by Annika Dellinger. Passes it to Council. Council, another three and another make. Maya Council with her 16 points. And it's 45-29. Maya Council is just giving Stonewall some type of life as she's knocking down all these three-pointers. Luray really doesn't have to shoot too much more. They have a lead, and clock's on their side. Just need some good possessions. Benton into the corner. It's Vile. Lexi Vile with 6, passes it to Benton. Covered by Kylene Franklin, driving in, and a bad pass, but it's saved by Luray, and they'll keep it alive. Outside, driving in, Burrell, and she's got the shot tipped away, and it's going to go back to Stonewall. And oh, hold on a second. We've got a call correction. And it's actually going to stay with Luray. Luray getting it inbounds. 4:45 to go in the fourth. Around the arc, it's Burrell. Being covered by Council. Off the Vile. And here's a three attempt off the front of the rim and no good by Trinity Belton. Good look, just couldn't knock it down. Bree Franklin has the basketball. Passes it to Eli Dellinger. Eli going to drive in, picks up her dribble, passes it to Kylene. Kylene going towards the lane. She passes it off now to Dellinger. It's past her, but she picks it up. She needs help. Under the basket, it's Bree. Bree goes up off the rim and in. Really tough shot there for Bree Franklin. Her first basket of the night. The two Franklins hadn't scored until just now. Here's an easy drive to the basket, and she's fouled as Lexi Vile had an open lane, and then one of Stonewall's defenders had to jump in and foul her. Foul was on Annika Dellinger, her first, team number 3. Exactly 4 to go here in the fourth quarter of play. First free throw is long, but it bounces around the rim and falls in. Weekly in. Second of 2 free throws here for Luray. Off the side of the rim, no good. 1 of 2 for Vile. She has 7. 15-point deficit. Council has the basketball. Gives it to Franklin. I would just try to get Council the ball every time at this point. She's knocking down the shots. Bree Franklin going to go all the way to the basket. She's fouled. Misses the shot. But she will get 2 at the free throw line. Again, last time these two teams played, it was 49-33 the final. And right now it's 46-31. So It's pretty similar as the first free throw by Bree Franklin is off the mark. Second one, good. So Bree has 3 fourth quarter points for Stonewall. .345 to go here in the ball game. Luray ball, just taking their time. All they've got to do is hold on to the ball and take some time off the clock, and they're on their way to their 5th win of the year. Still playing a little bit aggressively, though. Into the corner. Here's a good look, but short off the front of the rim by Luray and rebounded by Council. Here's Franklin taking it the other way now. She's going to get into the corner and passes it all the way across to Eli Dellinger. Now to Annika Dellinger. And down to the post, Annika. She looked like she traveled. They didn't call it. She goes under the basket, flips it up. It's no good, and rebounded by Luray. Bulldogs going to push it. Here's Weekly. Weekly taking on 3 or 4 defenders, and she's no good, short off the front, and rebounded by the Generals. Kylene Franklin, the point guard, with it. Still scoreless on the night. Here's a pass to Council. Wide open look. It's off the mark. No good. And Annika Dellinger gets the rebound. Here's Bree Franklin for 3. That's off the mark. And Luray gets the rebound. Down to 2:35 to go in the 4th. Stonewall trailing by 14. Bree Franklin comes in from behind, nearly snatches it away from Luray's Burrell, but it's a foul. 4th team foul in the Generals. First of the night on Bree Franklin. And Luray gets it in. It's Weekly. 29 for her. Shot's no good. She gets her own rebound. She goes up with it. It's no good, and they're going to call it on the floor. Weekly missed the shot, got past 2 or 3 Stonewall players, and still went up strong with it, but they called it on the floor. So now 5 fouls for the Generals. Luray finally getting it in to Weekly. Weekly into the corner. It's Burrell. Burrell going to go up. She's no good, and rebounded by Bree Franklin. A lot of contact tonight for both sides, and really the whistles have been absent. And we're going to have a jump ball here, and Bree Franklin kind of gets slammed to the ground almost by Weekly, but they don't obviously know malintent there. Just a basketball play. 2:05 left in the 4th here from Quicksburg. 46-32, Luray on top. Weekly with it. Gonna lose the basketball for a second, and she loses it as Franklin steals it away from her. So Weekly's cooled off a little bit in the last few minutes after reaching 29 points. Here's a long 3 off the glass. No good by Bree Franklin, and it's rebounded by Emily Donovan. Weekly going to save it down the floor as Luray is getting careless, and now getting bumped from behind is Bree Franklin, and that'll be a foul on the Bulldogs. Luray led 14-8 after 1, 24-13 at the half, and 38-21 after 3. It's 46-32. Only a minute and a half left in tonight's ball game, as Luray appears to be on their way to 5-0, and the Generals on their way to 5-4. Council outside with it. She has been great. 16 points, 16 of the 32 for the Generals. Down low, and here's a great pass and finish by Eli Dellinger. She has 9 points, and we've got a full timeout on the floor. We'll take it as well. Stonewall down by 12. We're back after this on Valley Sports Radio. 1:17 to go, 4th quarter of play. Stonewall trailing the Luray Bulldogs 46-34. Luray inbounding, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, they have to just run this clock down, and they're on their way to another victory. But Weekly is going to stay aggressive as she drives in and draws the foul, and she has a chance to hit the 30-point mark. She's at 29, and she has 2 free throws coming up. First free throw is all net. Emily Weekly has reached the 30-point mark. 1:03 to go in the fourth. Second one is in and out. And it's rebounded by LeRae. Into the corner, Weekly was thinking 3. She thinks 3 again and passes it off. She's still trying to add to her point total. No matter what the situation is, she has the ball. 50 seconds to go in the fourth quarter of play. LeRae leading 47-34. Kind of some four-corner action now for LeRae, just kind of passing it around. Stonewall not going to foul or anything, not to prolong the game or anything like that. Here's a 3 in and out, no good by LeRae, and rebounded by Franklin for the Generals. She's going to still push it all the way to the basket. She goes up, she is fouled, and she will go to the line, trying to get her first points of the night with 28.1 to go in the fourth quarter. Free throw is good. The Central Varsity girls have fallen at William Monroe by a final score of 56-27. Second free throw for Kylene is good. She has 2. And we're down to 25 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter of play. Weekly has it. We'll see if she takes any more shots or if they just hold it for the last 15 of this one. Weekly holding, down to 10 seconds to go. Passes it off to Burrell. Back to Vile. And to Weekly. And fittingly, Weekly will finish the game with the basketball in her hands. Close game here tonight on our Game of the Week as LeRae has defeated the Stonewall Jackson Generals by a final score of 47-36. We'll be back to recap the game right after this. You've been listening to the High School Basketball Game of the Week here on Valley Sports Radio. And back to Quicksburg and Stonewall Jackson High School as the Stonewall Jackson Generals fall tonight to the LeRae Bulldogs in girls high school basketball action by a final score of 47-36. LeRae led the ball game by 9 at the half, extended that into the third quarter and finished it off by 11 here in the fourth. LeRae, a dominant performance tonight. Felt like more than an 11-point game. Stonewall did a good job of staying in it, but LeRae was led by Emily Weekly. She had 30 points. Lexi Vile had 7, Jaden McClung and Brenlyn Burrell with 4, and Mackenzie Richards finished with 2 for the Bulldogs. LeRae is up to 5-0. For the Generals, falling down to 5-4 on the season, they were led by Maya Council with 16 points. She had multiple three-pointers as well. Eli Dellinger had 9. Annika Dellinger finished with 6. Bree Franklin with 3. And Kylene Franklin, the leading scorer, coming in averaging 13.5, only finished with 2. Those were 2 free throws coming with about a minute to go in the game. So surprising off night for her. She didn't really shoot the ball much, so it's not like she didn't shoot it well. Just didn't get many shots up, and that's how things finished off for the Generals. Stonewall falls to 5-4 on the season. They will be back in action Monday here from Stonewall Jackson High School. They will be taking on Madison County. And for LeRae, they're scheduled to be back in action on Monday against Page. And as I mentioned earlier, Monday against Page, Tuesday against Clark County, Wednesday at Madison, and Friday home against Rapp. So LeRae has a big week coming up, entering the week at 5-0 and coming off of a win here tonight in Page County last night, that is. So LeRae has the momentum in a shortened season, and that could be a team that are competing for a state championship for a second straight year. Overall, it was a good ball game, a lot of early turnovers for Stonewall, and they were able to keep it close enough, and they just couldn't shut down Weekly. She dominated all night long, finishing with 30, nearly outscoring Stonewall's team as a whole. But the Generals have to feel good keeping it close against a top-tier team like this LeRae squad. Again, we'll be back in action on February 3rd, which is Wednesday. That'll be girls action from Strasburg. Should be a 7:30 start, as Craig and I will be back for that game here on Valley Sports Radio. We appreciate everyone joining us here tonight on our Game of the Week Part 3. We had fun. Craig will be back with me on Wednesday night as we finish up the regular season, get into regionals, and then it is football time here in the Shenandoah Valley. Again, thank you for joining us all around the Shenandoah County area and beyond. Thanks to Alan Earhart back at Network Control for keeping us straight tonight. And for Kyle Gutschall, I'm saying so long for Valley Sports Radio.